So, Paul, thanks so much for spending a couple of minutes with me. One of the things that has been the most interesting to me is the work that many countries, and especially Asian countries, have done around the issues of means reduction and means restriction. Would you talk a little bit about your experience in that area and what those in the behavioral health community might be thinking about as they work with individuals at risk?
Yeah. I think that some suicide behavior, they're quite impulsive. I think especially found in Asian country.
Mhm.
So I think if we manage to put some barriers, I mean, for them to assess the suicidal means, and actually that could have an impact. I think so. The whole idea of restriction of means it is we are trying to make it more difficult for them to reach the suicidal means, and such that we can have more opportunity to do the intervention. I think we can see the restriction of the sales of pesticides. I think in Sri Lanka, in China, in India, and now is in South Korea. I think it would be very promising. I think if we stop these impulsive people who get access of the means which have a high lethality. By the same token, I think we do something similar in Hong Kong and in Taiwan as well. I think it is about to make it less easier for these people, I mean, to reach the charcoal. I think we put a restriction on the sales of charcoal, make it more difficult to get it there, and then all the evidence it suggests that it seems to be effective. I think to reduce the suicide number.
How do you go about, these sound like policy approaches. Have you partnered with, like take pesticide, for example. In Sri Lanka and China, how did they achieve those big changes in that availability? Who did they partner with? How did they go about it?
I think you do need the stakeholder involvement, and then you also need them to have some ownership of this program as well. I think especially the manufacturing of the pesticides and how to make it less lethal, or the manufacturing of the bottles. I mean, how they sell the things. It also have to work with the manufacturer. But on the other hand, I think the government support, the policy, I think this support is also very important. Like for example, in Sri Lanka, I mean, if they restricted the very toxic pesticides, I think if they ban the sales of that, and actually that would have an effect as well. So I think in something you do need all level of intervention. You do need a good government policy, and then you also have a good social responsibility manufacturer, and also raising the awareness in the community is very important, because some people say that, well, if they don't kill themselves by that means, I think they will die from some other causes as well. So it will the people are less willingly, I think, to participate in this.
Right.
So I think you do need the public awareness, you do need the government support, and then you do need some sort of the community, I think to take part in as well.
You mentioned the impulsiveness and this ambivalence, that putting a barrier between folks can make a difference. And yet, as you also talked about, many individuals and communities have trouble with that because they believe that suicide is somewhat inevitable for those at risk. How have you gone about, I heard someone here in Europe use the term personal indecision. How have you communicated that to communities, and what success have you had?
Well, I think this is really go real down to some sort of stigma, I think, towards the mental illness, and also the stigma towards the suicidal people. I think some of them, they really think that, well, these people, I mean, there's not much you can do about it. So I think, I think by showing more understanding, I think we do not want to stigmatize those people.
Right.
Who stigmatize the suicidal people, right? So I think we do not need more enemies. I
Right.
think, especially when you're doing suicide prevention, you do need more people. They come together.
Yeah.
I think work collectively. I think to the benefit of the community. So I think we have been doing quite a bit of awareness program. But I think it's, in my experience, it is important to show them the data, to show them the evidence. I think so. If you have not done this, or if that that happened, and then there will be more problems. So I think with the scientific evidence, with the research, and then with more empathy having towards each other, and I think that will make the things less difficult to implement in the community.
So in Asia, you mentioned pesticide and charcoal. Where are the other examples in the world of where you think the best work is going on around means reduction or means restriction?
Well, I think when you see the set up the platform safety door along the railway line, I mean, after they've set them up, and then the number of suicide has come down, and then the people, they do not move to the station without the platform safety door. The Golden Bridge story, I think when you put up the safety barriers, you do actually, I think, reduce, I think, this number of suicide. So I think we cannot save everybody, but I think definitely, I think if we can implement this restriction mean with the other program as well. So we are not saying that, well, restriction mean, I think that will save everybody.
Right.
So, but I mean, in America, I mean, the guns control, I think, has been one of the very really a taboo issue. I mean, in America, I mean, but indeed, you have to face the fact that, I mean, 50% of the people in America, they do die from the gun shooting, right? I mean, so I think this is time that we think. I mean, I hope the common sense prevail. I think if there are depressed people in a family, I think if you have a gun, if you don't take it away, put it in a safety lock, I mean, a safety box, and make sure that it cannot be taken out very easily.
You know, we're here in Norway. I wasn't aware of what a strong gun culture Norway is, and yet they've used some of those safe storage methods to make some reductions with kids, I believe. Paul, what is your thought about blister packs or some of those initiatives to try to keep people from using an overdose? Are those effective?
Well, I think the study in United Kingdom, I think after they change the sales of the paracetamol from the bottle form to the whiskey pack, and it does show that I think there is a reduction. And also we have to be aware or pay more attention whether there's people they move to some other drugs. So I still think that I think where there's a restriction of sales of paracetamols, restriction of sales of pesticide, charcoal, set up the platform data, they do have empirical evidence to suggest that it is a viable, I mean, it works, but you also, this method cannot stand alone. I think you have to come up with other support. And the other thing I have to mention is as well, this media response. I think usually, I think the media, they have this knee-jerk response. I mean, saying that, oh, you crazy people, if you take away this, then they will do some other thing. Actually, this negativism, I think if it is being generated in the media, it will be a very uphill battle. I mean, for the suicide prevention scientists, to try to really get this message to the community. I think the media is much more effective to get the message across. So you have to win the hearts, the minds of the media people, and
so
such that
they can be an ally.
Yeah. And then so we always say that some of the media reporting, they're not very responsible, but actually a lot of media people, they are responsible people. But what we need to do is just to convince them, to bring them to our side, and then to say that if you have done this, you actually are saving life. So once they bite the bullet, once they agree with you, they are much better spokesmen than us. I mean, to get the message across.
Really important work. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me.
Our pleasure.